And there were a number of highly contested races and issues in our area. We want to turn now to Aaron Sanderford, political reporter for the Omaha World-Herald. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Cerise. Glad to be here.
Aaron, it was a really good night, particularly for the incumbents in Nebraska and Iowa. Did you anticipate that? Did you see that coming?
You know, I can't say I did. I don't think anybody really knew how the election would look this year with the number of early votes that Nebraskans turned in. I mean, that was a record number of early votes, and in some cases, like in Douglas County, it was almost roughly 70% of the vote was what they expected to be early. So given that Democrats had an advantage in that early vote, you didn't know who was going to show up on election day. You didn't know what factor the president would play. There were a lot of unknowns coming in.
Yeah. Let's go back to that race we just talked about. One of the most heated, most watched, most expensive races. Don Bacon, Cara Eastman. Once again, Bacon walks away with the victory. What do you think it came down to for voters?
You know, I think it depends on which voters you're talking to. I know that there were a lot of centrist voters that Bacon was convinced were persuaded by former Congressman Brad Ashford's endorsement and that ad he cut late. Bacon actually told me when I was walking neighborhoods with him as part of our kind of weekend wrap-up before the election. He told me that he thought that ad moved numbers, that their survey had shown that ad moved numbers among independents, and that made a difference. And he also thought that them knocking on doors made a difference. Cara Eastman's campaign knocked on a lot of doors before March when the pandemic went sideways, and then shifted very much to a digital-first campaign, a lot more telephone, a lot more online outreach. And a lot of folks I talk to that are close observers of politics still believe that door knocking has an advantage when it comes down to the time to turn out your vote.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the presidential race. Still up in the air this morning. We're still waiting. Nebraska, one of two states that can split that electoral vote. How important does this make Nebraska in that ever important second congressional district?
You know, it's really, it's a unique system. I did not expect Vice President Biden to win by that margin, even though the polling had shown him leading pretty consistently. Now with Michigan and Wisconsin kind of in flux. I know that Wisconsin flipped a little toward former Vice President Biden this morning, and I know Michigan is definitely narrowing, and there's quite a bit of votes still out in that Detroit area. There's still a real shot that Vice President Biden could become president. Obviously, we talked to the Trump folks, and they say they're pretty confident that they're going to win Pennsylvania. They're pretty confident that they have a shot to hold on to Michigan. But at this point, it's an important single electoral vote that avoids the chance of a tie.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you so much for your time today. We know you had a long night. Get some rest. It was great to see you.
Thank you very much. It's good to see you too.